What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Grind Time. This is Fantasy Football Grinder here. Happy 4th of July, everybody. I want to get started here today. I wanted to kind of do something for you guys. I want to do something to kind of show everybody since I dropped the draft kit yesterday. What I want to do is I want to incorporate that draft kit and show everybody why you would want to use it, what it entails, and kind of go into detail. See, I don't have to have the draft kit on my screen for me to know what it is. I've drilled this into my head so many times, and this is how I draft every year I play. I've been playing fantasy football for 16 years now. I mean, just a ridiculous amount of time I've been doing this. And, the players change, but the game stays the same. And what happens is, when you're doing fantasy football, if you really want to win, you've got to get a strategy together. And trust me, guys, I understand, there's strategies, best player available. I get it. Why, but if you're going to go best player available, just auto draft your team, because that's senseless. Look, you've got to build your team smarter than that. This is chess. This is not checkers, guys. We're not going to walk around and start talking about best player available over here, guys. I'm not that guy. Now, there's a point where best player available does play a strategy into what we're doing. It plays a role. But I dislike best player available, and there's multiple reasons why. And the number one reason is this, guys. If I just go best player available, what I end up with is a very lopsided team. I end up with my team's heavy receiver, or, my team's only heavy running back. Guys, that's not what we want. That's not the strategy. That's not where you want to be. It's senseless to do that, because what happens is you have to start running backs. You have to start receivers. You have to start a tight end. If we just keep dropping and forgetting what we're doing here, then we're screwing ourselves. So, guys, I want to make a video today. I get my face is not in it. We'll work that out later on. But what I want to show you guys, how to do a mock draft. I want to show you guys a mock draft version of my draft kit, and we'll compare this team up against, say, a team similar to, another team. We'll do two in the second mock draft today. I'll go with a heavy wide receiver strategy, okay? I want to put a heavy wide receiver strategy up against my strategy, my strategy is going to be your first 4 rounds, okay, guys? You're going to come out of your first 4 rounds with 3 running backs and a wide receiver, some form or fashion, okay? And now, Fantasy Pros, this draft mock draft I'm going to use, it's going to be a little different than a standard mock draft, because with other people, this is a computer making decisions. Keep in mind, this is probably not how your mock drafts will go. You'll probably build better teams than this. You will build better teams than this, because I mock every day against regular people, and there's always somebody in that regular group of people. There always will be in your league that is not very good. So they just make crazy decisions. Like I said before, I've had guys that draft an entire team players, and they might have a first pick. They just go, Kamara, and then they go and try to get Michael Thomas later on, and they'll trade half their team to get Michael Thomas, and then they end up with all Saints players. Well, how are you going to win when you have all Saints players? Are you honestly going to sit here and tell me you think that Kamara is going to blow up and Michael Thomas is going to blow up every game? That's probably not going to happen, and what you get is an unbalanced team. So, guys, what we want to focus on balance. And, guys, look, I've seen a lot of videos, too, where people worry about bye weeks. Guys, you're almost better off having all your bye weeks in 1 week. Because if you do, you lose that week. But you don't have to worry about, going 3 weeks straight without your top 3 guys. So, don't stress about bye weeks, guys. What we're stressed about is injuries, youth, and talent. We're not worried about the rest. The rest of that stuff is things that we cannot control. Okay, we can look at a coach and say, his history is this, and this is what he's going to do. And then what happens is last year with Nagy and Montgomery. Nagy's always had a good running back. All of a sudden, he decides, he's just going to sling the ball out to the flank. Well, there's no way to control that. So, guys, we're going to focus on the talent we have, and that's what we can affect. We know we can predict the talent. There's no predictions to be made. It's there. So, guys, let's start this mock draft. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to do a half PPR. And this is to give you guys, okay, if you're a standard league guy or if you're a PPR guy, we're going to meet in the middle here. And that's how I'm going to do these mocks. Because if I go standard, they're not going to touch wide receivers. If I go PPR, they're not going to touch running backs. We want that balanced deal. Then I'm going to pick from the 10th position out of 12 teams. We're going to do a 12-team mock. I'm going to always do things in a 12-team format. And the reason being is that's typically what most people use. So I want that there. We're also going to do 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end. We're going to do 1 flex position. Defense, we're going to do a DST kicker and 8 bench spots. We're going to have 16 rounds here, guys. That's the goal, is 16 rounds. Get everybody to understand the basics here. Some leagues are going to be bigger. Some leagues are going to be smaller. Some leagues are going to have no DST and kicker. It is what it is. I can't affect that, guys. DM me any questions you got. If you have a different style league, if you have a 3 wide receiver league, we'll try that. We'll do some 3 wide receiver practice too. But I want to start this out right here, and I want to start with this. Give you guys a good start here. So let's start our draft. We're gonna focus on our draft kit for this draft here, and what that's gonna entail is, guys, we're gonna start off really heavy running back if possible. But if we come to a situation where it's better to go ahead and grab our wide receiver, that's what I want to do. I would much rather grab our wide receiver. If we get a wide receiver available that we can't miss on, that's who we're gonna go with. Okay. So here we are. This is where we typically land here. Tyreek Hill, if you guys are looking, he went number 6. Number 6 overall. He's rising on draft boards. I'm telling you guys, watch out for this guy. He just keeps rising and rising and rising. Now, I like Joe Mixon here. Where all did these... This is crazy, guys. Some of the guys that I'm normally used to. Well, Chubb's there. They consider Chubb a tier 3 guy. I think he might move up to tier 2, but I'm not sure. With Kareem Hunt there, it's tough, guys. And remember what I told you guys about backups. This is a good season. If you drafted Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you put yourself in a really good position if something happened. But, guys, since we're going to go heavy here, what I'm going to do is I like Julio and I like DeAndre Hopkins. And so when I'm looking at these running backs, I'm thinking these guys, let's see, we're going to take a risk here, and this is something that you guys have to make this decision. See, what I'm looking at is I love Josh Jacobs, and I'm highly doubtful that both the teams behind me, this is something you've got to start getting used to, both the teams behind me are probably not going to go double running back. They're probably going to grab a receiver. If I leave a Hopkins or a Julio there, they're probably going to grab one, or they might grab both of them. So this is my last chance to get a high-end wide receiver, and I'm not just stuck on Mixon. So right here, if I look at Mixon and Josh Jacobs, I trust Josh Jacobs just as much as I trust Mixon. So, guys, I'm going to go here. I'm going to look at these two. And what we're looking at is strength of schedule 16, strength of schedule 9. Guys, I think that I would trust DeAndre Hopkins this year to have a good year, and I would trust Julio. I'm gonna go with Hopkins here, but I wouldn't be mad if you went Julio. My only fear with Julio, he's gotten older again, and he's always had it. He's got these issues with hamstrings and stuff, and that's not good for this season. So we're gonna go Hopkins to start it off, okay? What's going to happen most likely is, see, here we go. Josh Jacobs fell to us. So, like I said, you've seen how these other teams went. One team went two running backs. They went Mixon and Chubb, and the other team went Julio and Kenyon Drake. So we got our Josh Jacobs here. So see what, if you follow the draft kit, and you see, like I've told you guys before, if one of those top 5 receivers is there and you feel like you can get Josh Jacobs to come back to you, this is the position you can do it. Grab Josh Jacobs here. That gives you a solid wide receiver 1 and a solid running back 1. Now, if you're in a position where you're a high pick, a top 5 pick, and you get a running back to start it off, you're probably not going to get that good receiver because you're going to be down to the Mike Evans of the world. At that point, I have no problem with you going there. Now, see, here we are. Running backs are getting slim. We're at a tier 3 running back already. And, wide receivers, you start looking at Juju's, Adam Thielen, A.J. Brown. I like A.J. Brown this year. He's definitely in the mix for a wide receiver 1. But I don't think I lost here. I will grab Gurley here. I like Gurley this year. So we're going to go ahead and grab him. That gives us Jacobs and Gurley as our 2 running backs so far. Now, guys, we're going to grab our 3rd running back here, okay? Now, A.J. Brown is here. If you win A.J. Brown here, I wouldn't be mad at you. But I want to get my 3rd running back right here. I'm going to grab Jonathan Taylor. Now, they haven't updated this, but Jonathan Taylor as your RB3 is a solid RB3. So I'm going to grab Taylor here because I know that in reality, Taylor's rising up draft boards, guys. So in reality, Taylor's going to be there for you guys. You're going to have to grab him here. You're going to have to grab him in the 4th round. Now, here we are, guys. Okay, we have 3 running backs. We have 2 wide receivers. Now, we want to look at, when you look at the running backs here, we got DeAndre Swift left. We've got Cam Akers left. I like both of those guys. And then our wide receivers, we're down to Stephon Diggs, and then we get down to the Jarvis Landry, A.J. Green, some of those guys. And these guys are going to be pretty good, wide receiver 2. I like Stephon Diggs this year. The question mark with Stephon Diggs is whether Josh Allen can make him good. And that I think that I would trust A.J. Green better. So, look, we're going to grab our 4th running back here. And we're going to grab, out of DeAndre Swift and Akers, I like DeAndre Swift's position, okay? But here's the deal with that. Okay, guys, just keep in mind, he's still there with a pretty solid running back. With Cam Akers, it's a full-out competition. So I'm going Cam Akers this year right here, and we're just going to, we're going to go Cam Akers. That gives us 4 running backs, okay? Now, we're about to be in round 6 right here. So keep in mind, this is going to be a round 6 pick. DeAndre Swift is still there. I could get him, or I could get A.J. Green. See, I only have 1 wide receiver here. We start looking at the board here. There's still some guys I trust as a wide receiver too. If you went DeAndre Swift here, I wouldn't be mad at you at all. I think that's a really good pick here. I'm tempted to grab him because he's normally not here at this point. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to grab A.J. Green to give us a solid wide receiver 2. I think that's where he needs to be. So we're going to grab A.J. Green. We're going to lose DeAndre Swift, and that's okay. It's okay. But that gives us two wide receivers, 4 running backs. We're in round 7. This is where you want to get your quarterback, guys. See, we're already down to Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. Matt Ryan's already gone. So Matt Ryan is the guy I want here. But he just went right before I picked. See, I would typically like to get Matt Ryan there. I like where John Brady's at. So we're going to grab Brady here, okay? And then I want to get you guys to we'll look at our wide receivers and see who's available and see who do we think comes back to us. That's the question. See, we have Deontay Johnson and Darius Slayton there, and I think Darius Slayton will come back. He's low enough on the ADP, I think he comes back. So, guys, let's be smart here. We'll grab a backup quarterback. And I know it sounds crazy, but we got Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. One of the 2 is going to go off. So we're going to grab Aaron Rodgers. And what that does essentially is, like I've told you before, we play chess, not checkers. It's going to put these other guys in a bind where you're going to start seeing them start having to grab some different guys like quarterbacks. Most of your leagues, they're going to go quarterback there. Now with wide receiver, we have Deontay Johnson. They did get Slayton. I would have liked to get Slayton here, but they got him. So we're going to grab Deontay Johnson. That's a pretty solid pick here. Now, let's go look at our roster. We don't want to miss on guys that we really want. So I'll show you guys our roster right now. We have Tom Brady. We have Josh Jacobs, Todd Gurley. We have DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Green. And then we have Jonathan Taylor. That's in our starters right now. And we have Cam Akers, Aaron Rodgers, and Deontay Johnson on our bench, which is pretty solid. I mean, that's about as solid as you're going to get. So, guys, now what we're going to look at is these wide receivers are here. I think Ruggs will definitely fall back. You know, I wish Slayton would have fell, but he didn't. So, guys, we want to look at tight end just to see where we stand. And there's no tight ends that I have to have here. I wouldn't mind getting Evan Ingram here. If you want to go Evan Ingram here, I have no problem with that. My thing with Evan Ingram is, last year, if you look at it, he had 87 points last year. That's not enough for me to go and kill myself to grab him. Okay? So, let's go look at our running backs available. And we're already down to Madison, Henderson, and Zach Moss. Now, here's where this, backup plan I told you guys comes into play. We have Cam Akers, okay? So, seeing that we have Cam Akers, and we know that him and Henderson are in a competition, we definitely want Darrell Henderson here, okay? And that gives us that we know that we're going to get an RB1 out of or RB2/3 out of those two, okay? So I'm grabbing Darrell Henderson here, and we will let the competition go on. And that gives us, when we look at our roster, what that's going to give us, that's going to give us two guys that, it's two roster spots, but at the end of the day, we know that either Henderson or Akers is going to win that competition. So, guys, you can't beat that. You know what you're getting there, okay? So, we go to our rankings. We're going to look at the receivers available. We're loaded there. So we're going to look at our receivers. And guys, this is my guy this year. I like Henry Ruggs. He's still pretty far down on ADP. I don't think many people will touch him here. So guys, we're going to look at our tight ends. Now we still have an opportunity to get Higbee. I'm not a fan of Higbee, guys. I'm just not, okay? So when I start looking at our tight ends, Noah Fant, Hawkinson, they'll definitely fall to us. So we'll just go ahead and get our wide receiver in Henry Ruggs. I know what we're getting out of him. He's in one of the best positions to succeed, okay? So guys, when you're in here and you're following this draft kit, we've done exactly what we said we would do. We've got 3 running backs off the bat and a wide receiver. So we ended up with Josh Jacobs, Gurley, Taylor, and DeAndre Hopkins. Then in the 5th, we ended up with A.J. Green, okay? So then in the 6th, we got Cam Akers, which we now have Cam Akers and Henderson on our bench. They're in a competition, and we know that one's going to win that competition. Now, if one loses, here's the thing. This year, we have to worry about the restrictions set, and if somebody tests positive for this virus. So, if one of them did, and they're out 3 weeks, we still have the other one on our team. So we're solid there. We're loaded at running back. I mean, there's nothing, and we can even flex in Deontay Johnson at times, okay? So here, I want to grab Henry Ruggs because he is the guy on his team. I don't 100% trust Renfro here. So we're going to grab Henry Ruggs. Now, what will happen is we will have this opportunity here. We could grab another receiver. I'm not sold on any of these guys right this second to where I have to get them here. So, I could grab you could even there's Renfro there. You could get him later too. I'm just not sold on him. So we're going to go to grab our tight ends, guys. So we have Gronk. We still have Tyler Higbee. If you want to grab Higbee here, we can grab him. His ADP was 73, and we are on pick number 135. So you see, he does fall, and so does Gronk. I'm not going to trust Gronk this year. The one thing I do like with Higbee is, as you can see, number 8 strength of schedule for tight ends. That's a really good sign. But I typically here I would have went Noah Fant and Hawkinson. But I really don't expect for Higbee to fall, okay? So Higbee typically will not be here. We're going to grab him because he's here. I mean, you might as well take him if they're going to leave him. This is why, guys, when it's your turn, stop and take a few minutes and look at the landscape around you. See what you have. See what's available. See, I got a notification there for a steal because he fell that low. Keep an idea of the landscape around you. We don't need a quarterback. We don't really need a running back, but we got to look and see who's there. See, we could grab A.J. Dillon, and A.J. Dillon could take over, but we're pretty stacked there. Let's look at our wide receivers. Now, this is going to be interesting because we could go Jalen Reagor here. And I really don't have a problem getting Jalen Reagor here. You still have Denzel Mims. You know, I like Brandon Ayuk this year. I think he's got an opportunity, and I like N'Keal Harry. Cam Newton has made guys better. So, since we're already pretty loaded, I'll show you guys our roster. We have 3 bench spots left. Now, we're loaded at tight end. I mean, we're loaded all across the board, and this is all from picking smart. What you're doing with a lot of this that we do, like you go 3 running backs, you're putting an emphasis on other teams that says you have to go running back to beat us. And so they start grabbing guys just mentally. They get stressed, and they start grabbing guys that they don't really want, but that's the only guys they see at the top, and they just hurry up and make a pick. So that's the goal there, is to make people make those bad picks, okay? So, you know, we can go ahead, since we could use a receiver. We have Henry Ruggs, Deontay Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, and A.J. Green. Since Reagor is there, we could grab him. I'm just, you know, the difference there is not so massive that we couldn't do without him. And then you have Brandon Ayuk. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you now, Brandon Ayuk is in a position to succeed. Debo is there, and Debo's a beast, but they don't really have that wide receiver one. Debo could have been that guy, but he got hurt. And dude, when you watch, if you've ever noticed, Odell Beckham had close to the same injury as him, and he never got right ever since. So guys, I don't trust that Debo's going to be a full force, and he depended a lot on speed. So guys, I don't mind grabbing Ayuk here, and I don't mind grabbing our tight end, our backup tight end here. That's pretty much what we have a room on our roster for. We'll look at our running backs one more time just to make sure. You could get A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon is the only person I could see right here that would make a lot of sense. Just because we do have 2, you know, it wouldn't hurt to grab him because we do have these 2 running backs, and that's basically 1 bench spot, but we're also flexing a running back on this league, okay? So, we'll go ahead. We'll grab our wide receiver. We could get Reagor here, okay, and then we can turn around and get another receiver here. We will see how far Ayuk falls. See, Ayuk is still there. He's pretty low. The tight ends are there. A lot of these guys are going to start slamming out tight ends. So I would like to go ahead and get either. You could get Hooper here too, but I don't trust how they play him. I want to get Fant. So we're going to take Noah Fant. He's the number 113 overall. See, we just got him right here. We got him at 114 overall. Was his that's his rank, and we got him at 160. So guys, sometimes people don't pay attention, and they start pulling other things because of the binds you've put them in. So now that we look at our receivers, we did lose out. You know, we lost our guy we really wanted. So we'll look at our running backs, see who's available. I don't like the running backs very much, you know. None of these guys are guys I'm dying for. Now, Royce Freeman is here, which is an interesting guy. Royce Freeman could be a guy that gets traded, you know, and he's still talented enough. If you wanted to grab him, I wouldn't have a problem. Now, the one wide receiver that I am interested in on this wide receiver board, I like Mims. Kind of like Washington. He's okay. And I like Paris Campbell. You know, and you still have Kenny Stills here. You have Chenault. You know, we'll take a look through this. You know, Claypool is a guy that may come out and play pretty well. You know, I'm not dying over any of those guys. We can look at our defenses, you know, see we're here. You know, if you have a heavy defensive league, this is a good time to grab it, because what you're going to get on your bench here is not going to be anything spectacular. So this is a good place. You could grab a defense here. And, you know, if you're looking at your starting defense over that, you know, you could get the Patriots, the Bills, or the Bears here. Guys, I kind of like the Bills this year. We'll just grab our defense while we're here. Typically, guys, I would not grab a defense here. You know, according to my draft kit as well, I wouldn't. But because of the fact that I'm not just sold on any of those receivers, it doesn't hurt. You got a really high-end defenses there. Paris Campbell's still available. You know, this is the place where I guess you could take you're gonna take a guy that's risky. Paris Campbell's an option. He's not my favorite option. He's not. I think that, though, if I look at this, maybe you could go Chenault. Maybe you could go Chenault and see what happens. You could go Miles Boykin, see what happens there. We'll go Paris Campbell. That's a second-year guy who could take off. Paris Campbell has all the talent in the world. If he can get his opportunities, he could take off. So we'll just take a risk on him. He's a last-round pick, okay? And then we'll grab our kicker at the end here, and what we'll do, we'll go over our team. And what I want you guys to understand is that, this is a pretty big league. Typically, that pick that we just made with Campbell wouldn't always happen. We could go here. We'll just grab Jake Elliott. You could grab. There's a few other guys down there. I think I would probably just go Elliott here. Fairbairn is pretty good, and Elliott's pretty good. Either way, you're gonna get pretty decent play out of either of those guys. So, guys, when we start looking at our roster, this here, don't worry about that so much, okay? When we start looking at our roster, guys, we loaded ourselves up. For our quarterback position, we have Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Now, will those guys boom? Probably not going to boom every week. But Tom Brady's loaded with weapons. Aaron Rodgers tends to always put up solid numbers. So you have two guys that are typically high-end guys. They're getting a little older, but we're still solid there. Now, where we did win is we got Josh Jacobs, Todd Gurley, Jonathan Taylor. Then we backed up that combination with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. And then, those are the guys right there that we can, we will get a stud right there. And Jonathan Taylor. And so we have guys that could flex in at any point, and we could flex in one of our receivers. Where we got DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Green, Deontay Johnson, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Reagor, and Paris Campbell. Now, Paris Campbell, 50-50 guy, but Jalen Reagor is going to get plenty of targets. Henry Ruggs is a guy that people have forgotten completely about. And Henry Ruggs is a guy I really want you guys to take some notes from him. Go look into Henry Ruggs, guys. He's one of the fastest receivers I've ever seen in my life, and he makes big plays, nothing but big plays. He had 100 targets in his college career, and still averaged 17 yards a target. So, and he also, guys, keep in mind, he played behind Jerry Jeudy. When you play behind Jerry Jeudy, you're probably going to lose some targets, and he still put up massive numbers, and he still was a stud in college. So, guys, I really like him. I mean, he was an early, I believe he was first-round draft pick going into the Raiders. And that's one thing the Raiders have done well. The Raiders have made some decent offensive moves well, and they know they need it. So, guys, you put Henry Ruggs on a team with Josh Jacobs on that team, you could have yourself a superstar in the making. So I like Henry Ruggs a lot, guys. I like our tight ends. We ended up getting a steal with Higbee. We got Noah Fant. You can't beat that. Fant's going to be a guy that can boom on us any week. I typically wouldn't go DST as early as we did, but when you got the Bills sitting there at the, our round before the last two rounds, you might as well. We weren't going to gain anything so massive that we wouldn't be able to recover from it there. So that's that, guys. What I'd like to do, I'm going to do one little quick draft and show you guys. You've seen that team. So we're going to restart. And what I want to show you guys is what happens when you go without a strategy like this, without going like that. We'll go best player available just to show you guys. And that's what I want you guys to understand. This best player available does not always work. Okay? So, best player available technically here. This is where, you start looking. You got Julio. You've got Joe Mixon. You've got Travis Kelce. The highest rated guy here is Joe Mixon. So, we will grab Joe Mixon. And this is where I want you guys to see that best player available does not always work. I know it sounds like a great idea, guys. I get it. We're going to say, we grabbed him. We're going to grab Julio. Okay? This is where I want you guys to see. Here we go. All right. We ended up with Todd Gurley available again. But a lot of people, they don't have Gurley as high as they do Juju on their board. So we're going to see which of these two are the best to grab. let's see. Out of these two, the highest ranked one is Juju. Really, the highest ranked one is DJ Moore? No, Juju. So we'll grab Juju, okay? And that'll give us Julio, Juju, and Joe Mixon. All right, now the best player available here is James Conner. He's the highest rated player. We'll grab him, okay? Now, best player available is Dak Prescott. We'll grab Dak Prescott. Now, best player available is Stephon Diggs. We'll grab Stephon Diggs. I'm not going to go through the entire list, guys. I'm just going to show you guys what happens here and why you were able to get a whole lot better of a team the other way. Going best player available sounds great for the moment. See, here we have DeAndre Swift or Kareem Hunt. We'll grab DeAndre Swift here. I'll show you guys our roster. Let's see. So you actually got a value pick there. This is the roster you get. And that it sounds great, okay, guys? It sounds great. But what do we get out of Dak Prescott? He's a solid pick. But see, here we are. We have Joe Mixon, James Conner, Julio, and Juju, and Diggs. All of these guys, every single one was injured last year. Every single one. So, guys, these are high potential guys to get injured, for re-injury. They all have leg problems. And this is not a season to play with leg injuries. So this is why I kind of tell you guys that when you start dealing with these, you start dealing with best player available, it may look great on paper to start off. And then the other thing is, when we start going down this draft board and we just keep hitting best player available, what ends up happening, guys, you end up in a bind where you don't have the correct backups. You end up real one-sided. See, we were already starting off one-sided where we had all these receivers, and now you start looking at the running backs available, and you have guys, Keyshawn Vaughn, James White, Sonny Michel. Now who are you going to get? Because in our other team, Swift would have been our flex, okay? So let's say we moved him to, let's move Stephon to the bench. Let's see if it won't let us do that. Yeah, let's move him to our flex. Now look, who's going to be your backup running back here? James White is a potential guy. He does have a good strength of schedule, but we don't know for sure how healthy he is. And we have guys who definitely, he hasn't made it to a game yet. He has not made it through one NFL game yet. We don't know what he's going to bring. We got Keyshawn Vaughn is another guy, and he's behind Ronald Jones. So when we start going down this board, this is the type of stuff we're going to run into right here. We have to get a running back here because we have the three that we have are not guaranteed. We have DeAndre Swift, who's not guaranteed anything. He could be benched for Kerryon Johnson. Now, with our other team, we had Taylor, and we did have a rookie in Akers, but we backed that rookie in Akers up with Darrell Henderson. So we know we were getting a starter there. You don't know that with DeAndre Swift. We don't know with DeAndre Swift. We just don't know. And so, guys, I want you guys to understand the difference in a well-calculated attack and a best player available attack. And this was almost a wide receiver heavy team. We will do a wide receiver heavy team next time. Hey guys, that's what I wanted to show you today. Every Saturday, guys, we'll compare our draft kit up against other people's styles of drafting, and then we'll just we'll keep comparing and showing you guys the difference, because I want you guys to understand and see where my knowledge of fantasy is up against the next man's knowledge, and I want you guys to get the honest truth. So guys, whatever I can do to help you guys out, let me know. If you feel like these guys on this team right here are going to be great, let me know. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on Juju, for sure. I'm not sold on Diggs. See, that's where we're running into the problem. You're not sold on those guys. So, yeah, I mean, guys, just don't go straight best player available here. Look, there's Cam Akers. Cam Akers is a guy that's going to keep rising in draft boards. I'm glad we got Dak, but we got Dak pretty late compared to normally. Normally Dak's going in like the 5th round, so you're not going to get Dak where we got him this time. But this is going best player available. It sounds like a beautiful idea when it comes out of somebody's mouth, but it's when you start putting it on paper and you start looking at the guys that you're grabbing, we have a lot of injury risk over here, guys. Julio, injury. I like Julio, but I think I'm going to start putting Hopkins over Julio this year. Hopkins got put on a team that's going to make him the guy. With Julio, you still have Calvin Ridley on the other side, and Julio's a potential injury guy. I mean, it's a potential. Once you start having leg problems, you typically always have leg problems. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but it's there. And then with Juju, I love Juju, but we got to depend on Ben's health, and we got to depend on Juju's health. That's the problem with receivers, guys. When you go receiver heavy, you're not just depending on that receiver to be good. You're depending on that quarterback to be good and healthy. So that's a two-phase problem there. If that quarterback gets hurt, your receiver is out the window. And we've seen that with Juju last year. Once Big Ben went down, they couldn't get solid quarterback play all year. That's your fear, guys, and especially with Julio. That's why I try to avoid some of the receiver picks early. I like my running backs because no matter what, as long as I get running backs that are consistently healthy, we're always going to have a healthy, running back, and we'll be okay. Like with Josh Jacobs, he's a guy I keep saying is an RB1 if you get him late. He is, definitely. And the thing with him, he had some problems last year, but it's all shoulder problems. Those are problems that can be corrected, and those are problems he could have played through for the games he did miss. They just chose to rest him because they were out of the playoffs. So, guys, this is my video for today. We'll do some more in detail stuff with players next week. But for today, I kind of wanted to give you guys an outlook on why the draft kit is important, why following a strategy like mine is important, and, compare it up against the best strategies that people have. Next week, we'll go compare this up against 3 wide receivers. I'll do some mocks and show you 1 or 2 teams that I've drafted off the draft kit, and we'll throw that up on the screen, and then we'll just go randomly mock draft on 3 wide receiver and all this other stuff, and this is the deal, guys. I'm not saying you have to get, as you've seen on our last team, I'm not saying you have to get 3 running backs off the bat. Yeah, and like I showed you, Hopkins was there, and we were able to still score Jacobs after that. So that is the situation there where you go wide receiver in the first round. If you know for a fact, and you start looking, you got 3 or 4 running backs above the guy you want, and you got 2, 3, 4 picks in between you, you can make that happen. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll do some more stuff tomorrow and on through the week. And next Saturday, we'll do another mock draft. Every Saturday, we'll do mock drafts. So that way everybody knows. But thank you, guys. I hope to see y'all soon. Thanks for coming in. Fantasy Football Grinder checking out.